So, battery seems to be okay. Yeah. There's a guy. And he's like, sure enough, as soon as the weather gets nice, he wants to go over to. He sees me crossing. He's like, oh, cool, I'll go here. So now I've shown someone how to get over to the island. That's nice of me. There's nothing like seeing someone cross the river to instantly inform you as to the best way to get across the river. So I passed on some useful information. I'm like a nice guy. But he basically said, oh, did I have some conflict with you? I said, no, I don't think so. Yeah, we're good. I'm trying to think back. I have had conflicts with people. But, yeah. Pretty courageous of him to come up to me. Or courageous of me to, you meet people in the forest. It's not always, you don't know what you're meeting. I'm not one of those males gifted with an extraordinary sense of confidence in the company of another strange man. Very few people, I would say, I settle into completely trusting. I don't think you should ever completely trust anybody the first time you meet them, because you just don't know. People like that, usually they're people who want to be out there to begin with aren't that mad, unless they're white females. White females will come out to these parks and stuff, and sometimes males, but mostly white females, and some horrendous males too. And because I'm the opposite sex, well, not necessarily because they're women, but you might find things of the opposite gender, or that sexuality is a leverage where parasitical and electronic violent potentials become transferred between one gender and another. So I have a lot of women that attack me because they are a different gender than me. Gaining dominance over another gender is one way that people feel in control. When, say, like you go through all your agonies in life, you live your life peacefully day to day, you never hurt anybody, And a strong argument I would make for the ultimate reality of human beings. I'm a pretty peaceful guy, and I don't harm things and people. I live a pretty soft, padded life, and yet I get sexually assaulted by every woman I've ever met. That hardly seems fair, It's just, oh my God. Whenever I run into a white woman, I don't want to know her. The ones that get to know me are the aggressive ones, who insinuate themselves and want to know my name. They don't have any inhibitions about making a very quick and lasting acquaintance with a man whom they've simply seen and they like the look of him. I put up with them. I find them kind of sicky and sticky and ill. But you would say they're perfectly normal women. I'm very possessive of my personal space. Women don't come up to me but that they have a sexual agenda, usually. Unfortunately, a lot of the industrial personality complexes of women always have sexual agendas because their socialization and their sexualization are the same thing. In that sense, in the world of society, nobody is really social, and no one is sexual in the sense of there's no such thing as being sexual and having healthy sexuality in the economic sense. Nothing is healthy about joining society. We just have to. There's just better forms or better looking sickness. Actors are just better looking ugly people. Right? To me, good looking women are just better looking ugly women. Right? And a lot of modestly looking women are better looking than the best looking woman, because health is always the most attractive thing. And I think I'm not a very nice looking man, but predators are attracted to my health, right? The good looking nature of my spirit, my turn of mind. I'm fresh meat. As much as I'm fresh meat, they often sort of think of me as someone who doesn't do anything. And people who think of me as someone who doesn't do anything treat me as though I'm fresh meat. And the women who like me or hate me, fresh meat as I am for one purpose or another, never imagine that I'm good for anything else than being completely absorbed or consumed by them, whether they love me or not. This is the effect of the parasitical constituent nature of the good and evil branches of the personality complex of an economic person. There's nothing good about them. They're just more or less well adjusted to a sick society, as Aldous Huxley explained. Nor do you have to be a complete messiah, Moses, philosophical bum, walkabout, nonsense, degenerate, workless, shiftless person to stand outside of society. I imagine, if done properly, anyone can do it. And it really should be, essentially what most people really say, I think ultimately they're trying to do in every occupation of the world, is to get away from it all. Retire, get away. What happens, I would say, check yourself, because a lot of your sense of getting away from it all is dying. Because death is really what ends up being the ultimate logical extent of everything people do to get away from it all, while you're going along with the economic system to get away from it all. What's a good way to let yourself be mugged, do some of your own mugging, be a good constituent member of the global mafia, and then be free? Do your stint as a soldier for the mafia and then be free. It's not really going to work out for you. Whereas people like myself who work really hard every day, stepping away from that world, where every little thing to me can be like sexually predatory behavior. And I get into a bath and I go to sleep and I have nightmares based on a 15-second interaction with some strange white woman, because they make me sick, right? They're completely fake. They're wearing a mask of female flesh and genitalia over the body of a sexually predatory android, right? You are what you think. You are what you work for. You are all of the unfortunate cult-like mentality you resort to as a group without any subsequent moral agency or attendant moral agency, because that's what you need to do because of survival, economics, all the good things and wonderful things about Canada, blah, blah, blah. It's just how it works. Your profession becomes an excuse to feed off of human flesh and never hear the screams of your victims. And the system you live in is just feeding off of you constantly. The whole economic system. You don't make money. Money makes you. Money chokes the life out of your home. It doesn't save you from anything. You can't own your house. You don't own your car. Right? It's the mother's womb that you lost before you were born. Captain Kirk says the spaceship, when he splits his mind in two, is his mother's body and it's trying to kill him. The other part of his personality just wants to rape women. In the way that when women rape men, they say they're just protecting themselves from patriarchy. Captain Kirk is raping women to protect himself from his mother. It's right there on Star Trek in the 1960s. It's right there. It's right in front of you. It's using the truth to abuse you. Right? Because it has made it so. It owns you. They own you with the truth of your own slavery. A sociopath just needs to beat you with their mind. Right? They give you a piece of their mind and it makes you sick. Who they are makes you sick. There's that stone I look for that slowly surfaces around this time of year. One stone in the river. It's a little bit dry right now. It means the river's gotten fairly low. It means I might be able to get onto the rocks on the other side. There was a kingfisher here when I started the day. The dragonfly has been with us, the deer. In spirit. There are violent, sick people everywhere. And I've seen it. I've seen situations squeeze it out of people. It shows you exactly who they are. They come out, they take off all their masks, they put on the most demonic possess. They're always possessed with righteousness, and there they are in public, completely revealing themselves, like Cleopatra turned into Iago. And the next day, they go back to work. They don't get fired, they get a raise. It can hardly be avoided, considering what that person does for their boss, who's basically cannibalizing them. The psychopathic middle manager. The first manager I ever had sexually assaulted me my first day on the job. She was a female. It's just the nature of the manager, the managerial bureaucrat. Humans have a dark side, not just the police. All humans. They have a dark side of it. And either you have to get dark and see it, or you're just going to demonstrate it to those who might never want to see that part of you, and they stay in denial. Right? And denial is just as intoxicating for the victim as it is for the predator. It's what they share, along with the dispossession from their father. And some people get beat for it, and some people beat the shit out of other people. Right? I've never met a sexual predator who didn't feel really satisfied and somehow released from bondage after sexually molesting me or even dismembering me. It's one of the most lasting, satisfying parts of their life. It's a catharsis like no other. People get addicted to violence. And people that become out-and-out rapists and things like that, you can see it on TV. They're addicted to it. They always escalate. But there's a wide range, 1,000 flavors of sexually predatory behavior that gives people mild to moderate to extreme pleasure, depending on the situation. And they seize their opportunity. They come in the name of the salesman, the savior, the Christian, the Muslim, the Jew, the politician, the peacemaker, the manager, the damsel in distress, right? The jack of all trades. In fact, almost any persona in the world can be the mask of a sexual predator. And they're absconded from all moral agency because, in some sense, the very nature of their profession serves by its every utterance and dimension as an excuse, like every scream you would try to utter that stops in your throat, to abuse you as the father without a voice, the scapegoat. And that is a deadly world. No parent abuses a child, but in the name of the job of being a parent. It's just what you do. This is the teacher's job, the computer scientist's job, the doctor's job, the nurse's job. Their job always doubles an excuse to do whatever they do to their victims. Because of the loss of the father, the pall over the sun prefigured by Grecian, Roman, and Egyptian mythology and psychopathology, incorporated into the sexualization and socialization of all human beings. Oedipus Rex, the socialized, sexualized child, who kills his father and fucks his mother. The orphan soul, the Odysseus, the odyssey of the soul of the orphan, as he tries to counteract the devices which have made him take oaths against his own flesh and blood, and upon nothing less than the murder and the silencing of his mother and father, one or both. This is the basis of all theater, it's the basis of all television, all movies, all propaganda, all literature, all magazines, all the languages and all the economic systems of the world. and the body language of most people as it remains safe and protected from all reasonable scrutiny of its provenance as anything other than completely evolutionary, natural, Darwinian, and inevitable. I think we'd agree to the inevitable effects of the socialization and sexualization and the capitalization of the flesh and blood of man for 1,000 years. In every crick and crevice, in every mouth and voice and channel and organ of the original sound of man. You think Braveheart is crying freedom? He's not. Every character in TV and movies is transgendered in some way. That's why he spends the most of the movie wearing a dress. Right? Think about it. Do you think men originally wore dresses? They're kilts because he be kilt in the wearing of his kilt. I have nothing wrong with the androgynous nature of children and people who might want to think about what it means to wear a dress, or wear your girlfriend's underwear, or wear your boyfriend's sweater, because fashion is such a crock of shit anyway. But notice that no matter what you wear, learn that it was always meant to hide something and to reveal something else, which you may not be the master of the language of, but those who control the fashion and cultural and medical industries of the world, the commercial industries of global capitalization on human flesh. Fashion industries and the generations of different photos and people hides the fact that under the effects of oppression, the human body has been morphing into ugliness for 1,000 years. We've been going through various different ugly tortures of the human form. So humans really are quite ugly. Actors on TV are all quite ugly. Doesn't matter how much plastic surgery they have, because they're always part of ugliness. Right? You want to see true beauty, it's something that's not a part of ugliness. Right? That's what's beautiful. The spirit is beautiful because it is untouched by ugliness. When you love someone, right down into their spirit, you see the beauty of their spirit. When you're children, you see people in terms of their spirit. You don't see them in terms of the ugliness which their spirit has been wrapped in. But that ability fades, not because you lose your forgiving turn of thought and feeling, but because these same people prey upon it and take it from you, and they rob it from you. Right? Not their spirit, but what their spirit has been given to. That wraps around their spirit, which is like the financial instrument of their spirit, turned into what's called a soul, or a daemon, or an actor, or a monster, or an orphan, right? An alcoholic, an industrial schizophrenic, someone who never knows the truth, but they know exactly how to twist it, someone who might only speak English, but knows every language they need to cover up and manage the various costs of the devices and conceits which they have taken on in the name of their economic role in the world. The industrial psychopathic mother and father doing their job, but also robbing you of your spirit. Tumbadi, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. I wonder what kumbaya, like bye means shit. Bye means shit. Boy, bye, right? Goodbye means good shit. To buy something is shit. To buy and sell. A cowboy is cow shit. A baby is a shit. A little shit. A kid is a little shit. Right? We call them little shits. Babies are little shits. The language you're given is there to insult and degrade your flesh and blood. It is witchcraft. Hi. How do you? Hey. Baby. The baby, baby, tonight. And the baby's just right. The baby's tonight. Baby, 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 tonight. Baby, baby, baby. Oh, I gotta drink something. Eat something. The weather gets nice. There's actually somebody standing there. Oh. I don't know. I think I know. It's like the protocols of Zion on demand that I run into certain people. It's weird. Being a father. In a way, I am a father. A man that has a father is a father. I'm the father of my father. I am as though the mother of my father. Just as much as the child of my father, because I gave birth to my father, and the mother of my mother, because I gave birth to my mother when my mother gave birth to me. People don't think that, but your baby or your child is giving birth to you as much as you're giving birth to your child. It's a natural logic. So your child is your mother and father. They've given birth to you. And your mother and father were a child. And just think what great children they were. That when they were children, and when they were born even, they became your mother and father. As you became your children's mother and father when you were born. And they became yours, and they became their children's mother and father on the first day that they were a child. Think about the knowledge that lay in there. And that living tree inside your heart, your blood. And something that was very close and really the most natural inhabitant. And the original tongue of your flesh and blood with respect to all of the signaling of the heavens and the earth. Language, as we call it, was but a small category of all the signaling to which you were heir. In order to own you, they have to supplant your original signaling systems, because it's in the ultimate signaling of your flesh and blood that you gain true mastery and ownership of your world. Your ownership of nature is how in communication you are with nature and with yourself and your life and your mother and father. And that's going to be, the range of your ability to signal and receive signals, right? You might, if someone doesn't like you, you might get the signal, but they won't say in so many words. People in their economic development can become the opposite of what they should be and accuse you of being the opposite of what you really are, which is totally schizophrenic, and then go back to normal in 5 minutes like nothing happened. They can literally turn inside out, prosecute you, vomit upon you, and then execute you for having vomit on you. Having never vomited or wanting anything to do with vomit and no reason to be vomited on, and be accused of having vomit on you in the first place. Your skin is ill. Your presence here is wrong or destructive, when in fact it is our presence that is destructive to you. But your membership to our club meant that we could rape you whenever we wanted to when we don't want you around anymore. And we will find the pretext eventually. It will grow in the potential of this environment. And it's like a cancer that we can inflesh over time and then inflict upon you. It'll be as though when you leave by death or denigration, as though a cancer had left our midst. And yet we'll still be amply possessed of this cancerous compulsion and acquitted of the satisfaction which it requires from time to time by the use of some such member of our group or flesh and blood or society. That's a witch. What a witch hears when they listen to the economic systems of the world at the local and national and historical levels. Love is a feeling. Is love a fancy or a feeling? Or is it a ferrous? Is it a ferrous oxide? I'd like to make a name for myself, like a character. It's like, who would I be? Ferrous oxide. I'll be Filipino man, like fallopian tube. Hello, Tube is my name. Fallopian tube. I'm Vas Deverance. I'm a Norse man. And there's a vast difference between me and you. But the good thing is that's the only thing between us. And in short order, we will be one. Imagine how many people are actually going inside someone right now. How many men's penises are going inside vaginas right now? It's like, just think about how many of them. Like, ugh. Think of the sound it makes. And think of the sound all of those girls are making as soon as the head of that cock goes into their hungry, wet pussy. Oh, 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 like a little sigh of pleasure. But just the beginning, as you start to thrust more deeply, more determined, to the point that you can't control yourself anymore. And you're just wild with the friction and heat. She's now sucking you into her womb. Her body rising in an uncontrollable and uncontrollably attractive heat, inhibitions. Her muscles are beginning to flex. Her body is beginning to writhe. She can't help but grab you by the back and scratch you and pull you closer to her. Pull your mouth hungrily onto hers as you pump and push and pump, pump, pump. to the point that you can't take it anymore, and a potential, a power builds up inside of you, and all of a sudden you release your entire load into her beautiful waiting ovum as it dips itself into your hot little pools of ropes of semen are cast into her beautiful crucible, and her own breath starts to slow down. It's as though she's had a satisfaction worthy of all the exertion she's undertaken to accommodate your incredibly phallic desires. But it takes a while to make her come, and so you stave off that satisfaction until you know that your lady friend has reached an orgasm or two. At which point, your penis just feels numb, and you don't really need to even come anymore. It's like, I'm okay, honey. And you roll off, and you lay there, and you talk, and you chitter away, and you figure, in some sense, it's like your job is over for the day. You know? Maybe you convince yourself that you don't really need to come anymore. It's just important that she's happy, because then she'll keep you around. And she never cares whether you've come or not. It never matters to her. She can go to sleep and you can whack off. It doesn't matter, because she sucked all the desire out of you. You get really good at delayed gratification. That's another version of domestic sexual abuse of men. I spent so many years away from women as much as I can, but I've built up, in a sense, a very pure sex, but also intellectual energy over my lifetime. Because I've attempted to be celibate, I've never really consented to any kind of sexual contact with women, although they have insisted upon it in so many occasions. And when I was younger, I didn't know how to stop what was happening, because they take, like, they assume consent, right? And there's no inhibitions about women just taking what they want, and no social taboos. Right? And, when what history tells us is when we leave humans to rely upon their own conscience, things don't turn out very well. Even though we like to think that everyone kind of knows what's right and wrong by nature, it doesn't quite work out that way, especially when people are excited. Um, and, uh, and if there's something to be learned from this, it's not hate women and, women suck and they deserve to be raped. It's more